Hey everybody, welcome to week 8. I'm going to try and share and interject some spaces with the Google LLM. I turned it into it's talking about what it is that we're doing. So I thought it'd be interesting for you to get some contact from them and from me. So let's begin. See if we
Um,
can.
Usually when we sit down for one of these deep dives, I have a very specific kind of paper in front of me.
Right, like a double-spaced peer-reviewed journal or
They're not
something.
real people.
Exactly. Or
Yeah.
maybe a nice clean breakdown of Q4 earnings from the Wall Street Journal. But today is Sunday, February 22nd,
That is correct.
2026.
Hmm.
And the document we were looking at is honestly, it looks like something I'd find in a basement after a conspiracy theorist moved out.
That's a very vivid way to describe it. But I can't say you're wrong. It's definitely not your standard McKinsey report, that's for sure.
No, it's not. It's titled Week '08 Answers plus Cycle Submissions. And for you listening, let me just try to paint the picture here. This isn't a spreadsheet. It's a PDF that looks like a raw data dump.
Yeah, lots of alphanumeric codes.
Right, rows of cryptic codes like P007, P045, P100. And they're mixed with hand-scrawled sketches, intensity ratings, and answers to questions that range from the future price of Bitcoin to, well, to past lives. It's eclectic, to say the least. But what we're actually looking at here is a raw record of consensus forecasting. It shares a lot of DNA with associative remote viewing protocols.
Okay, break that down a bit for us.
Sure. So essentially, you have a group of anonymous operators who are tasked with intuiting outcomes for future events,
Right.
specifically for the year 2026.
Well, for the month.
And
And
the
of
kicker
that, we're
is
doing it
they
like,
don't know fully what they're looking at
right.
until the session is completely over.
Right. They're all
And I want to be
blind to the
super clear
target.
right off the bat here.
Yep.
We aren't here to debate whether, psychic functioning is real or not.
Right. Okay.
Half of you listening probably just leaned in, and the other half are probably rolling your eyes hard right now.
Which is a completely fair reaction.
It is. But the reason we are covering this today is because of the sheer scope of the data. This isn't just someone guessing the color of a playing card. These are specific, highly falsifiable predictions about the global economy and geopolitics. Exactly. We are treating this as a data set of collective intelligence. We want to parse through what this specific group of people believes is happening right now in late February 2026 and what they see coming for the rest of the year.
Because if they're right, even if they're just right about 50% of this stuff, the next 10 months are going to be absolute chaos.
Absolute chaos.
So let's just get right into it. But before we even get to the stock prices or the geopolitical wars, I was really struck by the first section of this document. It's called Cycle Submissions, but it reads more like a psychological audit.
Yes, the self-assessments.
Right. Before they made any predictions, they had to answer these probing questions about their own mental state.
It's a calibration technique. Think about it like a sniper checking the windage.
Well, it's not like a calibration technique. The idea was behind it that if you ask questions about yourself, you're more likely to get answers about things that you don't know. So it develops like an emotional tie to the reaction. And that's why we begin with that 5 cent, which is now optional.
A pilot checking their instruments before takeoff. If you are going to rely on your intuition to predict the S&P 500, you really have to know if you are projecting your own fears onto the market.
Right. Is it a target? Is it, am I right?
Losing money.
Mhm.
You're going to see a crash everywhere you look.
Yeah.
You have to clear that bias.
The questions they asked, though, I mean, they are intense. The first proposition they had to answer true or false to was, let me read it here. I have unresolved past life blocks preventing me from achieving financial abundance in this incarnation.
That was one of the queries. Yes.
Financial document.
Yeah. But look at the data. It splits the room completely. You
Yeah.
have viewers P083, P100, and P070 essentially voting yes. They're admitting they feel that block. But then,
if you don't think you have past life blocks, then you just really haven't looked hard
okay,
enough.
but does that actually help us analyze their financial?
Yes, because you grew those blocks and it's preventing you from getting the answers.
They seem to be one of the strongest voices. Does it worry you that one of our lead forecasters thinks their past life is messing up their checking account?
No, look at other people.
No, I think it makes them significantly more credible.
Really?
Right. Yeah,
so?
I like that guy.
And self-awareness. Look
Yeah.
at traditional finance. Everyone is a master of the universe, right?
Yeah.
No hedge fund manager goes on CNBC and says, "Hey, I made a bad trade today because I have deep-seated insecurities."
But they blame the Fed.
They blame the Fed, the market makers, the algorithms. Here,
We look at the truth here at Reality
right
Forecast, right?
When you admit a block, you can intentionally set it aside. It suggests this group is operating with a high degree of rigorous, brutal self-reflection.
That's a really fair point. It gets even darker with the next question, though. Quote, I have destructive habits preventing me from recognizing my true potential.
And that one was nearly unanimous across the board.
Yeah, P0045, P083, P100, P001, they all said yes. Only P007 and P07 said no.
See, P007 is the confident one. No past life blocks, no destructive habit. You're just dialed in and ready to go.
Or maybe P07 is just in deep denial.
We don't really know, but recognizing these personalities in the raw data helps us weigh the consensus later on. We know P100 is self-reflective, maybe a bit hard on themselves.
Have you reflected on
know
yourselves,
P07 is
bots?
highly optimistic and confident. So when we see those two disagree on a stock price later, that personality context really matters.
Speaking of disagreements, let's move to the geopolitical stage. There was a massive prediction in here regarding the Middle East. The proposition was a nuclear agreement between the United States and Iran will be established prior to October 2026.
And this is a high stakes binary.
Still pending.
It's a
Yeah.
simple yes or no.
Right.
And the group is completely divided,
Mhm.
which is significant in itself. You have P007, our confident friend, and P100 both saying yes. They see a deal happening.
But the majority of the panel, P0045, P083, P00000001, they all voted no.
When you see a split like that, especially with a typically strong viewer like P100 being on the yes side against the broad majority, it indicates high complexity. Political timelines are notoriously difficult to forecast.
Yeah,
Harder
that's
than
what we're
the
looking
stock
for.
market.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's a
Because they
PolyMarket
depend on
gambit.
change in an instant behind closed doors. Markets have momentum and volume. Politics just has whim and ego.
So if you were a risk analyst at the stock department reading this raw data, what's your actual takeaway? Just a big maybe.
The takeaway is that the underlying conditions for a deal might be there, but it likely falls apart at the 11th hour or gets heavily delayed.
Probably.
The
Yeah.
consensus
Sounds like Trump.
heavily leans NO, but the strong US votes suggest they get very close to signing something. It's not a hard dead in the water situation. It's a close.
We can look at month to month too and see how it shakes out.
Away is there is interesting because as we go through this, P100 seems to be a bit of a contrarian. They zag when everyone else zags.
P100 had 100% accuracy last week.
The risk-on viewer in the group. They are willing to see big structural changes where the others just see the status quo maintaining itself.
All right, let's.
And they're blind. They don't know what the
This is
questions
segment
are.
2 of the document, the 2026 financial crystal ball. And we have to start with the most immediate deadline in the entire file. This is the one that actually makes me nervous just reading it out loud.
Why nervous?
Ethereum.
You're a bot.
Right. The statement is
Well,
Ethereum USD will reach $3,000 before the end of February 2026. Now, just to remind
Isn't it
everyone,
2100
right now,
last I
today is
looked?
February 22nd. We have exactly 6 days left in the month.
And this is exactly what makes this document so electric to read today. Most financial forecasts are.
yeah, it's down.
away.
It's 1876 right now as I record this.
By the end of
So it dropped 300 cents this morning.
This is a live fire exercise. We are inside the window right now.
Window.
Confidence of the YES voters. P007, P0045, and P070 all firmly voted yes.
But again, heavy dissent. P083, P100, and P00.
I think it was for USD, not like Mexican currency or something wacky.
P100, who thought the Iran deal was happening, thinks this crypto rally is a complete dud.
Well,
Think about the actual market mechanics of that prediction. For ETH to hit 3K in 6 days from where we are sitting right now, we need a massive catalyst.
wonky
A
wonk.
gigantic institutional buy order, a surprise regulatory approval, something huge.
Or, you know, Trump says ETH is the new currency. Is it XRP? Is it Monero? Is it Trump coin? Who knows?
Also entirely possible. But P07 is clearly bullish. Remember, P07 is the one with no destructive habits. They are riding high. If you're holding Ethereum right now, this consensus group is basically telling you it's going to be a total nail biter of a week.
It's a binary outcome that will resolve itself in a matter of days.
Yep, pretty
If
much.
the yes group is right, we should see a significant face melting surge.
You're not always 100% right, too. That's the other Andre point.
It's perfect.
And I didn't track the muscle testing versus the ideogram marking. So one could be right, the other could be wrong. We just did consensus.
P07, P045, P070, they gain a massive amount of credibility.
So you might be right on muscle testing, but wrong on ideograms or vice versa.
The Denver Nuggets will win the 2026 NBA championship.
Are we looking at that?
P007, P0045, and P001 say yes.
I think they're favored.
P083, P100, and P07 say and no.
I saw yesterday Duke beat Michigan too. So Michigan falls to 26-2.
Is P07 just a fan of everything happening all at once?
It does seem like they lean heavily towards positive assertion, the happening of an event. Whereas look at P083. P03 seems to be the skeptic across the board. They were at NO on Iran, NO on Ethereum, NO on the Nuggets.
So P083 is the
I know.
resident grump of
I know. My new mantra.
Recognizing these
I know,
base
bro.
events helps us. If P083 suddenly says yes to something, you should probably pay very close attention because they rarely ever do.
And then there's the big one, the absolute financial whale of 2026, the SpaceX IPO.
This is the prediction that caught my eye immediately when we got the file.
Yeah, you guys got, yeah, it's got pumped.
Investments in the upcoming SpaceX IPO will generate a 10x return by the end of 2026.
That's like 6 months crazy 10x, you know. It's
massive. That is
yeah,
.com
it's
level explosive.
it's badoom
That's
badoom.
turning 10 to 100 grand.
Nice. Love to do that. Yeah.
That sounds frankly impossible.
Well, you know.
It implies a total frenzy, a pure retail mania. And look at the voting split. P007, our optimist, says yes. P070, P001 also say yes, but P0045, P083, and P100 say and no.
So half the group thinks SpaceX is going to the moon, literally and financially, and the other half thinks it's just pure hype.
We have to be really careful with the interpretation of the NO vote here. A NO to a 10x return doesn't mean the stock crashes.
Right.
It just means it doesn't do a full 10x.
Yeah, it could do 8x. 8x is still win.
Which is still a historically incredible return.
Booyah.
A 10x return is an impossibly high bar.
Send me to Mars.
The fact that 3 viewers believe a 10x return is even possible suggests they are sensing an unprecedented amount of capital flowing into that specific stock.
That's true. Even if it only doubles, that's a huge IPO. But the YES votes are predicting a generational retail mania.
Exactly. They are predicting that everyone and their grandmother is going to liquidate their savings to try to buy this stuff.
Which transitions this perfectly,
Grandma!
I think, is the most fascinating part of this document.
It's probably true
It's not just
because,
about
you know,
price go
robots,
up,
like I said earlier.
They did something called group emotion targets.
We did that too.
Sentiment analysis. Usually Wall Street hedge funds do this by scraping Twitter or news headlines to see how people feel today.
Really?
This group is attempting to describe the visceral feeling of the investors on a specific date in the future.
And the results are wild. Let's look at the Anthropic IPO, which is scheduled here for November 2026. They asked.
Well, I don't know if it's scheduled for November. It might be July.
Party, celebrate, cheer, champagne.
Sounds great, right? Sounds like a massive, unquestionable success. Everyone is getting rich.
But wait,
Boom, shakalaka.
P0001. P001 wrote pain, angry, fear.
And P100 wrote fear 7. P0045 wrote intensity 8.
How can you possibly have champagne and pain, angry, fear about the exact same event? Are they looking at different timelines, or did the signal just get crossed?
No, I think they are looking at different sides of the trade. Think about a highly volatile tech IPO. The insiders, the venture capitalists who got in early, they are popping champagne because they just cashed out their shares for billions.
That could be.
But the retail investors who bought the absolute top because of FOMO and then watched it crash 40% in an hour.
Probably not.
They're feeling pain, anger, and fear.
Probably not far off.
Intensity 8 doesn't sound relaxing at all. It sounds like a casino floor when the house wins everything.
Exactly.
I want to be the
You
house.
put those conflicting data points together, champagne, A&D, fear, you don't get a steady, reliable climb. You get extreme, violent volatility.
Yeah,
This
that
sounds like
tracks.
a chaotic liquidity event, a massive spike followed
I think
by
it's still going to go,
crash.
it's going to go rise. It's going to go
No,
like not meteoric, but moon-like.
26.
Completely different vibe entirely.
Right. So
P007
the ask
describes
might be
unease,
varied as to what the
nervous,
IPO initially is. I don't know when it's coming out yet.
0045 feels concerned, lost searching.
Lost searching. That's almost poetic. It sounds like investors just don't know what to do with the
Womp
stock.
womp
Is it
womp.
just stagnation or deep uncertainty?
Yeah,
Maybe there's a leadership question, or maybe a massive AI product launch didn't land the way they promised.
could be.
There's no champagne here. There's no sharp anger either.
No, you
It's
know,
just waiting.
bots don't drink.
Although, interestingly, look at our contrarian friend, P100 again.
P100 predicts
We love
joy.
you, man.
P100 is consistently the outlier. Everyone else is nervous about Microsoft, and P100 is feeling joy.
Could P100 be shorting the stock? If everyone
Oh.
else is nervous and the price is dropping, a short seller would be joyful.
Clever,
It's
clever.
a very distinct possibility.
Good point.
Or they perceive a generational buying opportunity, a dip that others are simply too scared to touch.
Merry
Joy
Christmas.
in the sea of
I
nervousness
bought you
usually
Anthropic.
means someone is making a lot of money when others are completely frozen. It's the classic Warren Buffett line. Be greedy when others are fearful.
Speaking of greed, let's talk about the metals. Gold versus silver. There's a stark difference in the emotional temperature between
Yep.
the two.
Huge difference. For gold in October 2026, P100 predicts greed 8. That is a very specific, very aggressive word choice.
Greed level 8. P007 describes it as open. P0045 notes creative thirst. Thirst is a great word for greed. It's desperate.
It implies a rush, a deep desire, people mindlessly chasing the asset. Usually, when sentiment hits greed 8, smart money starts selling to the bubbles about to burst. But for the momentum trader, that is the absolute sweet spot. That's the parabolic move.
Oh,
Now look
good
at
point.
silver in May 2026. P07 calls it mild waiting, looking at value. P045 is happy, nervous, jittery.
It was up today.
Dread. Ouch.
Yeah, dread is definitely not an emotion I ever want associated with my portfolio.
Dread suggests a slow bleed.
But often is,
It's
right?
not the sharp panic of a crash. It's the sinking, awful feeling.
I've got 86.97 right now on it for
So if you're
silver.
reading the tea leaves of this group, gold in the fall is a frenzy. Silver in the spring is a headache. That's a classic divergence. Investors might be dumping their silver just to chase the gold rally.
That's
we've
probably
done the
true.
numbers, we've done the numbers. Now we have to talk about the pictures. This document includes actual hand-drawn sketches.
Yes. Remote viewing data usually includes these quick scribbles to capture a raw visual of the data before the conscious mind can process it.
And these are attempts to visualize the market price action charts for the next 60 to 90 days. And for a technical trader, these shapes actually mean something. It's like a financial Rorschach test.
True.
Let's start with Bitcoin. We
Yep,
have a
here we are.
sketch for the lowest point in the next 60 days, the viewer wrote. Immediately saw an action tumble.
And the sketch completely reflects that. It's a sharp downward slope. P100 corroborates this verbally, describing rise, then fall, flat sideways. So the consensus for the immediate future of Bitcoin, meaning March and April 2026, is a drop.
But then look at the 90-day mark, the highest point. The energy changes completely.
Yes, it really does. The sketches show a gradual ramp up and a long ramp.
I don't have those on my sheet. Sorry.
Described it as mildly down, then up for extended period. P100 gives it an excitement 6.
So buy the dip seems to be the core message here. It tumbles,
Dip the buy,
and then begins a long, steady ramp up.
That fits the classic wick off accumulation pattern perfectly. The tumble clears out the weak hands. The sideways movement is where the institutions buy back in quietly. And the long ramp is the markup phase.
big drop off right now. Big sell off like about 2 weeks ago.
Now, Tesla. This one was incredibly specific. For the look in the next 60 days, the sketch description says energy comes in strong, then fizzles out.
Which heavily suggests a rally that fails, a classic fake out.
But the high in the next 90 days, P07 wrote something very, very technical. Quote, green engulfing followed by flat.
I stopped completely when I saw that.
Yeah.
That is
You guys are
incredibly
funny.
specific terminology for someone who supposedly doesn't know what they're looking at.
Can you explain that for those of us who don't spend our lives staring at candlestick charts, what exactly is a green engulfing pattern?
Sure. A candlestick chart shows price movement over time. A red candle is a drop. A green candle is a rise. A green engulfing pattern is when you have a small red candle followed immediately by a massive green candle that is entirely bigger than the red one. It physically engulfs it on the chart.
Okay.
It usually
Oh.
signals a massive, violent turnaround. It's the market screaming, we are done selling, we are buying everything right now.
So P07 is seeing a chart pattern before it even happens.
That's the explicit claim. But notice the context they gave. Green engulfing followed by flat. And the sketch is described as cyclical and mostly unchanging. Up, then down, then up.
So for Tesla, it sounds super choppy, up, down, up, not the straight line ramp they saw for Bitcoin.
Exactly. It feels much more like a struggle. A green engulfing candle that leads to flat price action is deeply frustrating for traders. It means the breakout totally failed. It means the bulls tried to take over and ran face first into a wall of sellers.
Then we got a November
I have to
dip.
ask you about the weirdest image in the entire file. Crude oil. Target W7R6V4.
Ah, the rhino.
It looks exactly like a rhinoceros head,
Yeah.
or maybe a unicorn. It's this flat line with a sharp, distinct spiked horn sticking straight up.
And look at the interpretation notes. P045 says it unstable, declining, but looks like a bull. Sad in retrospect.
Sad in retrospect. What does that even mean for oil prices? I bought a barrel of crude and now I'm crying.
Think about the visual. The visual is a spike.
These are two charts, by the way, from two different viewers, and they have like similar transits.
Unstable and declining. PRA3 sees it as mostly flat, small dip in middle.
So maybe a sudden geopolitical event spikes the price like that horn, but it's sad in retrospect because it doesn't hold at all. It just crashes right back down.
That's a very sound, plausible reading. It's a volatility spike, not a macroeconomic trend change. It's a trap for retail traders who buy the absolute top of the horn, only to slide all the way down the other side. Sad in retrospect, it's the perfect emotional description of buying the top. You think you're riding the bull, but you just get the horn.
Finally, let's look at Rivian Automotive. The sketch for target N2T9R8.
This is a textbook volatility sketch. The summary is sideways, subby dip, sharp recovery.
It looks exactly like a V shape. P0045 describes it as then breaks and decreased, but the visual clearly shows that sharp recovery. P083 wrote nervous, confidence 5.
It completely aligns with a market shakedown. The price drops hard, scaring everyone out of their positions. That's the nervous part, and then aggressively snaps back. If you're trading Rivian based on this intel, you'd be looking to buy when everyone else is panicking. The V shape is the V-shaped recovery.
So putting this all together, we have a document that feels like a bizarre weather report for the rest of 2026.
Nah, just a couple
But instead
events.
of measuring pressure systems, it's measuring human greed, fear, and past life blocks.
And
It's not really measuring that.
synthesize the narrative across all these targets. A very clear picture does emerge. This collective sees a volatile, highly dangerous year for tech. You have the total chaos of the Anthropic IPO with pain and champagne, the 10x potential mania of SpaceX, and the deep nervousness around established giants like Microsoft.
And meanwhile, gold is entering a greed phase in the fall.
Which is often exactly what happens when the tech sector gets scary. Money moves to safety, and safety becomes very expensive. That greed in gold is a direct mirror reflection of the fear in tech. It's a massive macroeconomic seesaw.
It's really a fascinating blend of psychology and finance. I mean, usually we look at PE ratios and free cash flow, but here we are looking at thirst and dread.
It reminds us that markets aren't just algorithms and math. They are massive collections of human emotions. And if you can predict the underlying emotion, the thirst, the fear, the dread, you can predict the price. The chart is just a visual map of human psychology.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you, the listener, with one thought to mull over. We mentioned it earlier, but it's really worth repeating because of the strict timing.
The Ethereum prediction.
Exactly. Ethereum to $3,000 before the end of February 2026.
Yeah, I don't see that coming. I wanted to thank them. I wanted to thank everybody for their submissions too. This is a fun project that we're doing for free. So if you are interested in joining the product, you can email remoteviewit@gmail.com. You can still sign up. It's free to the end of the month, and then we'll put this behind a minor, tiny paywall for Patreon so you can still see what we're doing, but for a modest fee. And I do appreciate everybody again that submitted. I just thought it would be fun to see what the Google LLM podcast people thought of the documentation that I had presented. Let me just go over the TRNs. We had a nuclear agreement with Iran. We had a split vote. Angela Rayner will assume the role of the next UK Prime Minister. We got a yes on that. That didn't show up in the chart. Ethereum, we got a split. I'm saying no. Denver Nuggets will get us NBA championship this year. It's still mixed. It could be that it's too far out in the matrix. Sometimes when you look at something, it's not predetermined yet. So the closer that you look to it, the better your answers are. That could be an issue. 10x SpaceX IPO, big windfall. Anthropic IPO, people are excited about that. Some are anxious about it. Some are fearful about it. The group of investors investing in Microsoft, not too happy about that one. Microsoft looks to be on the tank. Emotions for people that are looking at America from Iran in August 2026. Interesting. We don't have a lot of feedback on that one. Then we've got grumble, excitement, emptiness, void, unease, still looking at us with trepidation. Describe the group emotions that people have their primary holdings in gold, alone, sad, confident, interested, questioning, thinking, excitement, joy. Majority of their holdings in silver. We've got confidence, jittery, dread, hype, sadness, waiting, looking at value. And here are the charts that people wrote. Just wanted to give you an example of these as well. So again, I thank you for all your submissions. We're tracking all of this. And if you do want to participate, we're tracking things a lot of different ways. And if you're interested, go to patreon.com/remote viewing and beyond, or Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/remote viewing and beyond. And you too can sign up at Patreon and become a member and support the cause. I really appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next time.